a lot of content out there. You can talk about a lot of different stuff. So, when you just think about the history though, of where it came from, like where it started. I mean, that's a story in itself. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fun to be a part of it.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I was thinking how long it's been for me. It's probably, 10? I think maybe 10 or 11 years.
Yeah.
How long for you, man?
Listen,
How long for you?
coaching.
Yeah, in this league.
Let's put it like this here. I was coaching before they kept records.
So there's got to be an asterisk next to all your records, right?
Yes.
Troy can definitely catch.
Yeah, Troy could do his thing.
Troy can definitely catch.
Yeah.
My big dogs for elite.
Okay.
Just right around.
Nice.
Yeah, just have a seat, fella. Figure out,
Oh wow.
you guys want to sit.
Hey Chris, we needed some cocktails.
All right. This is a nice setup.
Real
Real nice setup. So this is the behind the scenes of all these podcasts you see on TV.
Okay. Are we gonna get the countdown too, or?
Not in this room.
Oh, so
Yes.
so as soon as we start, we
So,
laugh.
Yeah. Whenever
Okay.
you guys are ready, it's
Okay.
rolling. So.
All right, perfect.
We're good to
All right, cool.
Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. My shorty bad like Shakira. Ooh. I told her look in the mirror. Yeah. Don't need a license to carry. I do not let them sit near. She got a heart that's so pure. Better hope nothing occur. Better hope nothing occur.
All right, welcome to another edition of NFL Flag Talk. I'm your co-host, Rashad Colvin. To my left, we got my man, Eric Cooper. I'm going to let him do his introduction and introduce our guest today.
Hey, welcome back for another episode of NFL Flag Talk, where we talk about all the topics relatable to NFL flag. Last time we talked about tournaments. This episode, we'll be talking about coaching, all aspects of coaching, and we have our three guests with us today, three of our great coaches from our league. Again, we're celebrating our 20th year as a league, and so we spring the genre of all the coaches we've had. To my right is the first coach we've had. He's been with us since 2004, Reggie Manis. Good to have you here. Right across from me, another coach who's been with us since 2015, 2016, Chris Clark. Good to see you. And then last person here is our newest coach, who's contagious to winning. He's won a couple of times in the spring and one last fall. Richie Leonard. Good to see you, man.
Thank you.
All right, so what we'll do is we're going to let the coaches kind of explain to everybody like who they are, give you a brief introduction, like who they are, what brought them to the league, all that good stuff. So we'll start youngest to oldest, or beauty before age. So we'll start to my right with Richie, and you could just kind of tell the people like who you are, why you want to be the Cowboys. Just give us a brief introduction of who you are.
Okay. All right. Sure. Thanks, Rashad.
Absolutely.
So yeah, my name's Rich Lenhart. I currently coach the Cowboys 10U, and I've always coached the Cowboys since the 8U. My background, I played football back in the day. I never played flag, but I did play tackle, played offense, played defense, and then never stepped on the field until 2 years ago when I started coaching. It was pretty awesome because I was watching my son start in the rookie league, and it was great to see him out there. He never played before. It was neat to see him develop and grow. And there was the fall of 2021, and I remember Coop and Brandon, and there might have, I don't know if Rashad, you were standing there. There was a third person, but they needed another 8U coach, and I just remember Brandon just doing one of those, looking at me, putting me on the spot. And I said, let me think about it, guys. Let me think about it. Sure enough, I went home, maybe one night, deliberated about it, and come back, and I said, yeah, let's do it.
There we go.
So it's been enjoyable the last 2 years. The fall of 2021 is when I started, and it's been a fast 2 years, but it's been an enjoyable 2 years, and I look forward to many, many more to come.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. To my immediate right, we got Chris Clark here. He's going to give us an introduction.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Cool. Shot.
I'm an import from Southern California, and so I've only been in Pennsylvania for the better part of 10, 15 years. And my older son, I had him in tackle football for a few years, and those of us that have gone through that, some of the gripes of that were 2.5, 3 hour every day, your whole weekend, 6, 7 hour days, and that kind of really impacts your family. And so after my older son decided he didn't want to play anymore, I said, wow, this frees up a lot of time. You could do some other things. And then my younger son started to come up, and he kind of wanted to go into the football direction. And I was like, well, let's go do the tackle thing. And he really didn't want to. His mom really didn't want to. And I was like, I'm not going to fight this beast, but let's go do something. And we drove by the YMCA, and they had flag tryouts. And I was like, I was that guy that was like, man, that's the fluff league, And so I said, but you know what? Let me go over there and just check this out. Let me see what this flag is all about. And so when I went up there, to my surprise, I saw a lot of athletes there. I saw some great coaching. I saw some great skills. I saw the community was great. And I said, I think this would be a good place to try it out. And so we tried it out. Been there ever since. It's been about, 8, 9, 10 years over there. My son had a great experience. And I learned a lot about the difference between flag and tackle, and learned to appreciate really the value you can get from flag. And it's evident because a lot of the kids from our league come and make huge impacts on their teams. And so I'm just proud to be part of something like this that's really making an impact and really want to pioneer this flag movement.
For sure. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right, now to my left, we got the OG here in our league, to the point where like he's been such a an important part of our league that we ended up naming the head coach of the year award after him. So to my right, a round of applause. Reggie, the OG. So Reggie, it's your turn. The floor is yours. Do your thing.
Well, thank you guys for inviting me. Let me be a part of this. It's been this way since the very beginning. My name is Reggie Manus. I've formerly coached the Eagles. In Pittsburgh Elite 13U, and I had the record for the most all-time wins until a brother to my right here took it off of me, in which I am so proud to pass the baton to Rashad. He's more than deserving. There was a lot of anticipation. I have 2 nephews way back in it. They're grown men now. And they wanted to learn how to play football, and I'm that type of uncle, I guess. I talked to my brother. He's like, well, do what you do. So we looked for a league. We were looking around. We went up to the Penn Hills Y. That's where I met Rashad. They needed coaches, and I'm like, well, what better way to teach these guys the little bit that I know about football than to just be a part of the football community. So I guess that's where history began for me. It's been a terrific ride, just watching where the league came from to where it is now. And I'm blessed to be a part of that. A lot of stories, a lot of history, and I'm sure we'll get into that like real soon. But that's just a brief introduction of myself, and I appreciate you guys for letting me sit in.
But I want everybody to kind of talk about why you coach, what age you coach, and what age do you prefer, and why do you prefer that age?
Okay, so to this point, I've just coached with the younger kids. My first season was at that time it was 7 through 9. Then it went to 7 and 8 for 8U. Then it's been 8U up until this past spring with 10U. Or this past summer. So I've only been coaching the younger kids at this point, anywhere from age 7 to 9. And the reason why I coach that age obviously is my son. He's 9, so I enjoy coaching, coaching my son, but that's why I'm coaching the age group that I am. It's been enjoyable. I love seeing these kids, come to practice and seeing their buddies and as much as I hate horseplay, but you got to let them play a little bit, play some moss, pull each other's flags and, and get silly. But I look forward to, as my son ages and gets older, I look forward to the 11, the 12, the 13-year age, because by then it's going to be a whole different dynamic.
Sure.
And I'm really trying to instill the fundamentals right now at the ages of 7 through 10 to prepare them for that point. But I look forward to getting to that 12, 13, 14 division and seeing the fruit,
maturation process.
Right. And hopefully it all pays off. Right. But that's where I'm at right now, coaching with the younger kids, and I enjoy it.
My passion in coaching has been lifelong. My career has been a physical education teacher. I've coached every sport. I've coached in flag football. I've coached all the levels from the youngest to the oldest. And I just think that in my experience, knowing myself and learning about myself, that this 10 age group, the 13 age group, very competitive. A lot of coaches want to take those positions. It's a very competitive. And in this 10 age group, a lot of the coaches are dad coaches, and as dads move through, they move through with their kid and they go with them into the next age. So I wanted to be a mainstay. After my son left, I said, look, I want to be a mainstay in this 10 group because there's benchmarks in every age group, from 4 years old, 5, 6, 7, and so my comfort level is the benchmarks in this age group. And so I take those seriously. I want to teach those things, and I get the biggest joy from seeing those things get accomplished. I love the fact that this league is so community driven. It's so trendy with the videos and the social media, and they want to be in the front of things. And I coach many different things: basketball, wrestling, volleyball, those kind of things. I coach all that stuff, and I truly am very selective in the things that I align myself with, because I want to align myself with a program that is on the up and up, that people want to come to, people are excited to be with, because there's nothing worse than being part of a program where you're coaching where it's constant just negativity. You're not getting players. They're talking bad about the community. You don't have resources. The administration's about the money.
For sure.
So many different things about this league is why I've decided to involve myself with. And mostly, I'm just grateful that it's here in my backyard. I don't have to drive far to get there. I can choose when I want to go, and that you guys have an open arms to me.
For
so
sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's always been that 10 to 12 youth, 10 to 12-year-olds. It wasn't you then. 10 to 12-year-olds in the very beginning, because, like I said earlier, my nephews were that 10 years old, and they wanted to learn. And that was fine. And I kind of stayed with that age group for my whole career, actually. League play, elite play was a little different. I started with the 11U, but I also knew that to make a championship team, you're not going to do it in 1 year. It's not like in-house play where they go from one age to the next. That means another coach. And then from that age to the next means another coach. And typically, you would want your league to work that way so kids get exposed to different types of coaches and all that. You don't have time for that in tournament play. You get a group of kids and you stick with them. You ride it out. This is just me.
I'm with you 100%.
I had my kids at 11U, 12, and 13.
Stick with them.
And by the time they got to 13U, they were starting to be grown men. They were starting to be young men. I mean, even the conversations on the bus rides changed. It went from PlayStation and Madden to, did you see that young lady? She looking kind of nice. They're teens now, and I love that. I love to be not just a coach, but a guy that they can talk to about personal stuff. Guys don't know how many parent-teacher conferences that parents put me down as a contact, and I'm getting a call from the school. But you develop those types of relationships, especially when you're with a kid for 3 years. You with them for that amount of time, and you've probably coached them in-house play, so that might be another 2 years you're with them. They become a part of your family, all of them. My wife used to joke with me and said, you leave here with no sons and you come back with 11. And it's been that type of ride for me. I love that age group. 13U, I don't know if I want to take it to 14 because at a certain point, the mentality changes. And fortunately, at 13U, I believe most of the kids should be getting ready to get introduced to tackle football at that point because they know the fundamentals. If that's their desire,
Right.
They know the fundamentals. We've done a lot. Anything I think past 13 or 14U, you're just really monitoring what the team is doing. They know their plays. They know what works if you've coached them up right. And this program has. These kids, by the time they get to a certain age, especially if they're sticking with the same coach, there's nothing for you to do but call the plays and make suggestions.
Yep.
So 13U is probably the tip of the iceberg for me. I've had a bunch of fun with it. Gone to national championship. The kids know everything, and they're really starting to appreciate football and growing up. Nothing like having a bunch of teenagers in a hotel.
Right.
They're going to get, like you said, they're going to clown, they're going to joke and have a good time. Real quick story, I know we got to wrap up. Real quick, first time we went to a tournament at the 12U, 11U, we go to this tournament and the kids are goofing off. You remember that on the bus?
Yep.
They're goofing off. They're snapping each other's headphones and all that. And we go to register, and these teams are sizing us up. When you get off the bus at registration, these teams are like, yeah, they're looking like I'm gonna, we carried that same goofiness onto the field in the tournament and got crushed. Next tournament, quiet. Kids are on their phones. They're focused. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Get to a tournament and win it because they're focused. That's what I love about the 13U. You can make them turn that switch. When they're a little younger, it's hard to tell them, no, you're not allowed to have fun. You're not allowed to do this. When they get to that age, when discipline becomes a factor, then you say, well, guess what? You want to go up there and get your behinds kicked? Go up there being goofy, playing with each other, tripping each other and all that, and we'll come back the same way we went up, goofy. If you want to get serious about this, and my team they got very serious where it's like, yo, quit playing, man. Focus on the plays. You know what we're supposed to be doing. You see kids looking at their wrist coaches. Oh, yeah, and I'm like, man, this is real. This is real. 13U for life. Love it.
So, let's talk about your coaching philosophies a little bit and coaching styles. But what you focus on, you're more of an offensive coach, defensive mindset. But let's just talk about that. We'll start with Chris. We'll start with you.
Okay. Well, I bring a unique experience in that I'm a retired physical education teacher, so I've taught kids for years and years and years, ever since I can remember. So I think that helps me in a sense that I, on a daily basis, was able to evaluate kids' ability, see the ins and outs, ups and downs, all through the progression of school. And so that really relates and helps me out in coaching. So the philosophy that I bring is my biggest deal, and it goes into, I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later, the age group that I choose, is that I focus really on being a building block. When my son was playing, of course, you have a little bit more invested and you want to win a little bit more and excited, and that doesn't change. But now, to me, so much the wins and losses don't mean so much. It's more so about, did that kid learn how to do this move? Did that kid pick up this skill? And are they prepared for the next level? And I try to bring a fun aspect to it.
Richie?
Well, I'm a little different. I'm the OG. I believe the kids have more fun when they're winning. I'm just playing.
I agree with that.
But I think I'm more of an offensive guy. I like to study. I like to see who I'm playing against. And some of these guys might not know that, but I used to watch. I used to come up to the fields early and watch the games, especially the teams that we would be playing next week. And that would give me an idea on how to play, how to position these guys. I'm very strict on discipline as far as the plays, as far as running the right routes, and as far as, we came up with a lot of schemes that are still being used throughout this league today. And it all started with just sitting in front of the TV or sitting in front of the field and watching other teams play. You find out team strengths and weaknesses, and you do what you can to exploit them. You set your kids up to be in the absolute best situation. We want to always set up for success.
Okay. I'm a lot like Coach Reg. I'm more offensive minded, but I do a lot of film study as well and preparation. Like Coach Reg, there's times where if the Cowboys are playing, the second game, the later game versus the earlier game, I'll tell my son, we're going extra early because I want to watch the other game. We're playing so-and-so next week. I want to, catch some of that games. And then every Saturday after the game's over and go home, my son knows what I do. I sit on the couch and I start looking at the videos and breaking down film to see where our weaknesses were, where our strengths were, or what I could have maybe done differently with personnel on a certain play at a certain time, situations. And I try to do that to not only prepare for the following week, but to learn from the mistakes that I may have made in calling certain plays or what have you. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to the kids having fun, and that's the most important thing. And them learning, like Coach Chris said, the fundamentals. Being that building block for them to go on into their future, and that's what I love about it.
Rashad, you're a coach. So you might as well.
I'm a coach, and I kind of I'm hearing what everybody's saying, and not to like avoid your question, but just to kind of enhance what they're saying. Like, I feel like the most successful coaches are like the ones talking about, like, after the game, I watch film, or I go look at my opponent. I feel like those are the coaches that, one, it shows that, hey, I'm invested in this. Like, I love that. Like, I want to go watch film. Where do we make the mistake? Let me show my kids said film or whatever, and let's get better. And this can help me help you get better. This is what you need to work on. This is where maybe me as a coach, I need to fix. So I just like the fact, hearing that stuff, that you guys, take it that serious. And I think it shows, like, hey, this is why this coach may be a little better, because he's more heavily invested. So.
All right.
To that point, real quick, if I could add real quick, there's, after reviewing after the game, looking at plays, the following week, I'll go to practice and I'll pull so and so aside and I'll show them the video and say, hey, look, this is what we want to try to maybe do differently, or this instead of that, to make this play more, this execution a little bit better.
Absolutely.
You said you were an offensive coach. Are you more of a defensive coach, Chris, or give me your thoughts? Or
It's kind of interesting. To be honest with you, I never was a football head coming up. I was just a basketball guy. And as I got into football, because my sons wanted to play, I'm kind of learning the game of football as an adult. And so I hear conversations of, nickel defense, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, and those things are like foreign to me. And so when I scheme offensively and defensively, I try to teach the kids what the other team could be doing so that they can read things. And so when you see, because it's very hard to coach every single scenario, but if you can coach them to think and react in those scenarios, then I think that we're doing a good job. So when it comes to, if I'm a defensive coach, I would say that I am a defensive coach. I try to teach more of the skills of, okay, when they're running over here, how do you position yourself? How do you help? How do you box in? Versus defensive schemes, just because my library of defensive schemes does not go that deep. And so I don't want to give away any of my shortcomings, but I really just goes back to, when I think about what I'm doing and how I can make my team better, is I try to teach them different situations as to how they can make choices that are going to better help and impact their team in both on offense and defense.
All right. All right. Well, do any one of you guys prefer like coaching offense versus defense? Like, would you rather have like say, hey, somebody like another coach come in and coach one of the other sides of the ball, or what are you guys' philosophy?
I've been blessed to always have a parent that was more defensively oriented than myself. And you learn quickly. I mean, in-house play is fun, and you know everybody can participate. You don't learn how important it is to have a defensive person or an offensive person, if that's your choosing, with you in-house or in tournament. You know, my preparation, I like to pick a script of plays. Like Rich said, I'll follow the team that I'm getting ready to play against, and I will see where their strengths are. I want a defensive coordinator. I want a defensive guy that take the defense over there and work with the D. You know, sometimes we do have players that go both ways, so we split that time up. But I want to know about the defense, but I want that person to run it. And I've had excellent parents, Eric Benson, Cliff Crawford, John Burrell. They've all been excellent defensive coaches. I think Eric Benson got mad in one game because we hadn't given up more than 7 points in a game, and the team gave up the second touchdown, and he went ballistic. You know, I stayed out of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, we're gonna get the 7 points back in a few minutes here. You know, so it's like that's been my biggest thing, and that'll probably be a big suggestion, a number one suggestion for any coach. Find another parent, find another coach that can help you out, because if you can devote all your attention and be special at that one area and not have to worry about what's going on. You know, when we're on the field, and the time goes so fast. You know, it's not like tackle football or regular football where you got long quarters and timeouts. I mean, we have those things, but they go within seconds. Yes. So it's so comforting when I'm sending in plays and I look over and I have half of my defense standing ready to go, regardless of what the outcome. If we score, they're ready to be on the field. If we have to give the ball up and punt, they're ready to be on the field. And you can't do that by yourself.
I myself, I'm more, like I said earlier, I'm more offensive minded. I prefer, coaching on the offense side of the ball. But I've learned on the defensive side too, and I owe that to Coach Diesel. He and I have coached several seasons since I began, and we also help coach. We coach the Pittsburgh Elite 8U as well, and he's been a great mentor on learning, both sides of the ball, actually, but especially defense, because he's so defensive minded, and he knows what he's doing on defense. And I've taken that tutelage and I've applied it where in seasons I may not have been able to coach alongside with him. But I prefer looking at offense though, and always thinking of variations of plays. I may have the same playbook, but I try to think of variations of those same plays just to mix it up, because I always have the mindset of expect the unexpected, but apply it in reverse on offensively, and give that defense the unexpected.
Yeah, that's another wrinkle in the playbook. Now, staying on the opposite side of the ball, like how do you coaches effectively communicate with your kids? Like, what do you do to allow them to learn? Okay, this is how the offense is supposed to look. So if you call a play, how do you relate it to them? What's your philosophy in teaching your kids how to be in the right position, alignment, assignment, things like that? What do you do? Do you use equipment? Risk coaches
I've experimented with a few different things. I've experimented with the whiteboard. I've experimented with the wrist. Experimented with the playbook. I mean, I think the most important thing as a coach is that I'm staying on the sideline and making sure the players come to the sideline for the huddle. But currently I'm using like a little flipboard, and I really, in my practices, what I focus on is the quarterback is the captain out there that's got to make sure that everybody's set up where they're supposed to be, and that's important. That if somebody's too far to the side, that the quarterback brings them in. When I show the play, making sure that they know the color coded where they're supposed to be and what the route is, and then. Like I've said in the other questions, I really try to coach the thought process, because the game is going to give you different scenarios. It's not going to be like it's written down. So you got to be able to adjust to that.
Sure.
And so in the instance that you give, where you got the guy who's athletic, you hand the ball off, what's the choice he's going to make? Is he going to throw it or is he going to run it? And what are the indicators in the field that are going to make him do that? And so after that play happens, or in practice, we can say, okay, in this type of situation, that was a good decision. In that type of situation, when that guy's here, maybe you can make a different decision in that type of situation. Also, when receivers are running routes, that yes, the route says go here, but if the defender's standing right there, you don't want to run into the defense. Put yourself in a position to where you're more of a target. The quarterback is scrambling. What do you do? What's your responsibility as a receiver? I use the center quite a bit. What's the responsibility of the center, especially in a situation where the quarterback's being rushed? So, again, a big part of what I do, especially at the age of 10 years old, it's very important, I think, to even so younger teach the thought process and then continue with that thought process. So when they get to your age, that you're not really coaching thought process. You're coaching your scheme, your strategy. Right. And you know that you've got kids that have come up through that, know fundamentals, and that's the role that I take.
Anybody else?
So for myself, I use both risk coaches and play sheets, laminated play sheets, and every position is color coded. In the huddle, I tell them to play, and I make sure that they know what color they are, and I tell them your color stays the same for every play unless I tell you otherwise, and we change it up. That way there's no confusion. If I'm green, I'm green. I'm green this play, I'm green next play. As far as getting the alignment down, as far as lining up right with and getting ready to execute the routes or the plays, I'm a big believer in repetition. In practice, sometimes the kids get bored because, can we do something else, coach? No, we're gonna run some plays. We're gonna run plays. It's repetition. That's how you learn. That's how you're gonna get. That's how you're gonna know where to line up properly. Whether you're 5 feet to the left of the center or you're 3 feet to the left of the center, because a lot of times just the difference in footage could mean a big difference on execution of that route, that play, based on where how the defense is lining up on you. So I'm a big believer in the repetition factor. Like I said, I don't use the risk coaches all that often, but I have used them. But I try to also in practice. I try to instill the hustle off to the sideline to get to play. To Coach Chris's point, get back out there. We got 25-second clock. We can't afford to have a loss of down and 5 yards. So. I try to keep the tempo in practice like it's game time speed. Then that way it just transitions right into the gameplay or game time. There's no difference between practice and game time. It should all flow together.
I'm definitely a pro risk coach. I've been, and I'm piggybacking off you, Rich. Repetition. Like I said a little earlier, I got criticized because we ran the same plays over and over again. But there's nothing more rewarding than when your team breaks the huddle and they go right to where they're supposed to be. When they come out of the huddle and they're lined up perfectly. I use the risk coaches. I've used them, and they've been a great tool for me. My risk coach has a script of plays on it, and right underneath each play there's an audible. So there's a letter. There's a letter. So if we break huddle real fast and we get back to the line of scrimmage, we can actually have a second or so to see how that defense is. So if I say Z3, they know what it is. They know who the receiver is. But then if I say W, they know that there's an audible. Biggest factor in preparing is trust. And you start developing that as you start coaching the older kids. You know, I've had some of the best quarterbacks, I think, that played this game because I trusted them. They had the ability, you know, back in the day, you used to be able to stand 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage and watch your plays.
As a
and
coach,
then come back to the huddle, you're there already. You know, I used to be in amazement on how some of these quarterbacks can see the field. Because I'm like, I know what the play is and I know where it's designed to go, but I have to trust that quarterback to see the field entirely. And if he throws them, I used to always say, listen, if you change the play, just own it. It doesn't matter if it's a good play or not. Just own it. When you come back to the huddle, hey, coach, I saw this. You know, I'm going to trust that. I'm going to trust your instincts with that. As they start getting older and we start preparing them to go to the next level, that trust factor is very important. You know, I can call a play today with the last group of 13 U's I had. I called a play, and in my heart, I know where the play's supposed to go, but I can look on the field and say, I know he sees that mismatch. He's not going to execute the play that I called because the quarterback sees the mismatch, and we have that trust factor. Oh, he's going there, you know, and you would see it. I mean, it'll give you goosebumps when you see the play that you called, but you see something else wide open, and you can't audible into it, so you're trusting that quarterback to see.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know,
at this age, those situations present themselves, and they need to be taught how to get through that, so they're ready for that.
But it starts. It starts at your level with repetition. It starts at then it continues on to your level with fundamentals and philosophy, and then it comes to my level, which is hopefully if you guys did your job, by the time that they come to this level, it's a whole nother animal. They know their plays.
Right.
You know, they know the mindset. Now we got to execute. You know, and that's the fun. That's what's fun for me is watching the execution. You know, and this league has done a lot to develop kids. I mean, if you look at the kids that we have that are taking it to the next level, I mean, I'm old enough that I got kids right now that have been in this program that are playing college football. College football. It's amazing to me that you can see when they're young that, and I'm sure, Rich, I know you have a lot of kids right now, and Chris, you as well, that you're like, a couple of years, we're going to see that kid. We're going to see that kid on the big screen. So anybody that doubts flag football or maybe has this idea that it's not as competitive or it's not real football, come to a tournament. Come to a tournament. I mean, come to a tournament. Your life will change. It really will. You know, I think we'll get into that in a second, but your life will change at a tournament, believe me. But fundamentals, repetition, execution.
Yep.
Couldn't ask for more.
Now, let's go to coaching decisions. Some tough coaching decisions that you probably had to make. I don't know if it's playing time or how you deal with parents or anything you have to talk about. So give me an example of some tough coaching decisions you have to make over the years.
I think we talked about this briefly, but you didn't have a son. You said you had nephews. I know you have a son. When you coach your own child, there's a lot of dynamics that are going on there. You know, it's like you don't want to be the coach that is favoring their kid, but typically the coach that is the coach that has their kid on the team is putting in the time, so their kid is going to be more skilled. They're going to have more knowledge because they're in the same mind as the coach. And so then you have to set an example to the other kids, you know, so in reward and in consequence. So I think that us as we're coaching our kid, that you definitely you teeter on that line a lot, you know, because it's like, you know, that your kid is better, or your kid you trust the ball in your kid's hand more, and then somebody else is saying, my gosh, that coach is only wants the ball in his kid's hands. Okay, well, it is what it is, Now, coaching when it's not my kid, different coaching, difficult coaching situations, I think for me is probably on the fly change of scheme. Because like I told you, my football knowledge does not go deep. And so when I see a scheme out there and I need to make a change defensively, I think that there's times where I'm second guessing myself a lot, where I'm out there and I'm like, okay, I made this change, but I didn't tell that kid the right thing, or we just got exposed on that situation right there. So I think probably in a direct answer to your question, things that are difficult for me coaching decision wise is, let me add one more thing. Is like if you have 9 kids on your team, you want to make sure that people are getting involved and not just a placeholder. That maybe they're getting some shine because their parents want their kids they want to see their kids do some shining too. So
for sure. Probably the toughest decision up to date is I had a young quarterback that came out of the smaller league. This on one of my very first teams. He was all pro, all-star quarterback, and he was the guy. He was the guy that was going to make my team a championship team. And he gets up to the older league, and he wasn't seeing the field very well when he first started. The blitz factor was shaking him up a whole lot, and I didn't feel he was being productive, and I never want to set a child up for failure. So I pulled him out of quarterback, and I put him at receiver. Heck of an athlete. Kid could catch anything in the world. Fast as one of the fastest guys on the field, and very football smart. But he wasn't ready for quarterback, not just then. So we pulled him. I pulled him out, and that was hard. I pulled him out. Man, did the parents give it to me. They gave it to me he's the best. He's been the best. That's why you're not winning. But he ended up being one of the best quarterbacks of all time in this league. I'm talking about Matt.
That's an excellent point with quarterback. For sure. Tough decision.
He grasped it. He respected my decision. He played. We won. He played wide receiver, but I know his heart was at quarterback. So I'm like, what better way to teach him how to be a quarterback? To know where the receivers are going to be. If you're running the pass patterns, you know when the breaks are. So after about maybe 3 games, I made another tough decision to pull the quarterback that we had out and put Matt in, insert him back in. He ran with it. So those are the decisions that either make you look like a genius or a fool.
Yes.
So
couldn't agree with you more.
That's a good situation
for sure.
The ongoing toughest decision is always trying to figure out a good rotation with players. If you have 9, 10, 12 players, it can be a challenge. And you want every kid to get their time. Sometimes as a coach, you get caught up in the moment, and you're not thinking about the rotation as much as you probably should be. I know I'm guilty of that. I'll admit it. But trying to figure out what kid in what position on what play at the right time is just that's one of the toughest things. Decisions to make. The situation. What's the situation on the field? Is it third and 7? You got to get that first down. What play works best? And executing to get that 7 yards, and what position with what personnel on that play. Game time, game management with the clock. I've gotten better, Rashad. I've gotten better. At least I think I have a little bit. But I know I struggled with game time management starting out, and you learn as you go on. But probably the most hardest decision is, sometimes it's actually quite easy. Pulling my son. You're not gonna run full speed. You're not gonna execute the play. You're just gonna lollygag and half go it. Okay, I have other players I can rotate in. So as tough as that is, because I tell them all the time, when we're on the field, I'm not dad, I'm coach. And making that separation as a parent can be very challenging at times. But I got to hold him accountable just as much as I do any other player on that team. So those are my tough choices.
All right. So I think rolling into the mind of a coach, I think one of the biggest things of this game, any game involved with coaching, is like, how do I outsmart the other coach? Because it's a matchup like that people don't think about, like how could you do better or outdo the coach. So like now I want to talk about like how do you feel like you can like out scheme the other coach, if like, okay, maybe offensively, hey, you see this coach doing this, like how could I do something on defense, or vice versa. Like, so what are some of the things or some of the philosophies or some of the ways that you kind of come up with, like how can I beat the coach across the other sideline?
That's just the nature of coaching. You're in competition and you see what they bring and you see the skill set that they bring, and then you try to, it's a chess match. Okay, if they're rushing somebody, then maybe we should pick up the middle. If they're sending somebody from safety up, you can hit them over the top. I try to tell my kids, if we execute these couple of plays and get the defense thinking that we're going here, then that's why we have this person over here. So this person has to stay connected for 2 or 3 plays so we can get them thinking that. And then every year I use it as a personal goal of myself too, to put in like a trick play here and there where you kind of, you teeter the line of the rules and everything is legit, but it's not expected. And I have to say that I'm on a pretty good track record where I've been able to execute it every year. But my thing is I got to do it at the right time and I have to do it with the right person, and they have to really be in tune because we only get one shot at it. And so it's blown up, like you said, you're either a fool or a genius, and so it's blown up in my face a couple times too. But I enjoy that part of it, being creative and doing things like that.
I'll go back to what I said earlier as far as breaking down film, watching film. That's how I try to look at defensive schemes from the opponent or look at their offensive formations. And I try to look at their tendencies as far as on what down they're using those formations offensively. And I try to adjust as the game, when I meet up with that next opponent after looking at the film from the prior, I try to make those adjustments and look for those tendencies to come to fruition. The hard part is if they're changing their game plan, then you're on the fly. You're on the fly at times on trying to make quick adjustments. But I rely a lot on watching film, certain teams' tendencies on first down or 3rd and 10, or on goal line where they like to go to more, and I try to make my adjustments defensively, and I call it out to the kids in practice. But leading up to that week, this is what they like to do. This is what they like to do on for the extra point. And I try to get their mindset, and focus on those tendencies to try to be as effective as they can when that time comes.
I think I've been pretty effective by listening. When you're around other coaches, you listen to them. Don't talk about your team. Oh man, that kid you got, he's excellent. Oh, that kid you got is excellent. Oh, that was a good play with that kid you got. So my philosophy is to make you face your fears. If you know I have a stud on my team, a guy that's just breaking records and breaking ankles, I'm shooting him at you every play. I'm going to make you face your fear. I'm going to run him to your side. I'm going to do everything I can to make you face your fear. And then I'm going to bounce it to somebody else. Because that's where the team play comes in. And that's where the trust element comes in. Hey guys, y'all have to trust me. They're gonna chase him every play because they know he's our playmaker. Out here, Chris. Hey, you got to stop that kid. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You got to stop him. Okay, guess what? He's coming your side again, but this time he won't have the ball. Right. Or this time, after he just broke a 30-yard run on you, he's going to pull up and pass the ball. I'll have a backside receiver floating down the middle of the field, and he's going to get it. So make a coach face his fears. Tournament play is probably one of the biggest, because you only have a split second to do it. So if you hear a coach scream out, hey, that number 26 is killing us every play, give it to 26. Even if he doesn't get anything, it's going to let them know he's coming. He's coming. Be fearful, because he's coming. And then when y'all adapt to him coming, then we'll bounce it to somebody else.
Right.
And it believe me, it works. It works at every level of football.
But you brought it up, Reg. So I'm going to we're just going to this next topic of tournaments. You know, we've been a great league, but we went into tournaments a few years ago, and so let's talk about tournaments and the difference. What you think is the difference between tournament, league play, the perks of being at a tournament, pros and stuff like that. Reggie, you'll be the first elite coach, so you can talk about that, and then we'll hear the other.
You know, I can't help but to smile when I think about how far this league has come in tournament play. We didn't know a whole lot about the tournaments. I mean, I think we might have even been a couple of years behind the tournament speed because when I look at the alumni guys and I think about how many of them were like great athletes that if we could have put an elite team together when they were in their prime, would we have a national championship by this time? That being said, Coop had the idea, you know, let's do a travel. You know, I can't even remember how he heard about it, but he was like, we're going to do a travel team, and we got the best athletes we could get. You know, best athletes that were in our league, we made a team. We were the Penn Hills Elite at that time.
Original team. That was the original team.
And we had athletes. I mean, these dudes were
Every level.
all of them were doing something great now.
Yeah, for sure.
And we went up to, I can't remember where we went, but we got our behinds kicked.
Yeah, Virginia.
Was it
Yeah, it was
Leesburg?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Leesburg and got crushed because we learned that this isn't league play.
Well,
This
Reg,
is-
hang on. Not to stop you. The team was young though, so remember that it was a 14U division, and everybody was 13.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sorry.
No. But you're absolutely right. But in our in-house league, they were the dominant factors. They were the kids that you would look at and say, "Man, we get all them on the team together. It don't matter what age group bracket we're playing in, we're going to win." And we found out a whole different story when we got there. You know, I mean, we got destroyed to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore. I was in the basement of the Y.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
The basement of the Y, watching something. There was something going on. And I looked down the hall, and this same group of kids that just went to Leedsburg and got crushed were coming down the hall like a mob. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Coach, can we speak to you for a minute? And I'm like, it was all of them, you know? And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? We got to go back. And I'm like, you got to go back where? What are you talking about? We got to go back and play in the tournament. We're better than that. I'm like, I don't know, because this just didn't feel good, you know. And I mean, these kids, and kudos to them, and that's probably why they're all doing something good now, because they had that instinct and they had that drive and determination. Coach, we'll do whatever we got to do. We'll work hard. We'll listen. We'll do we just want to go back and try again. So me. Practices tomorrow, you know, and we had some very good practices. We brought in some adult teams to scrimmage these kids. I mean, we were scrimmaging adults, and they were holding their own. And I'm like, you know what? I think they're probably ready. And we went back, and we made it all the way. We were We were the last team on the field. I mean, it was us against the Virginia Extreme.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe these kids were the same kids last year that got totally destroyed. They came in and put in the utmost amount of work, and we made it to the finals. I mean, we made it to the championship game. I was in awe with that, and that's probably when I caught that tournament vibe. And I'm like, man, I got to do this again.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to. And Coop, I know Coop said the same thing. We got to do this again.
Sure.
And then we saw teams that had every division. What are these little kids doing up here? You know, it was all new.
Yeah.
It was all brand new. But it was just a big adjustment from playing in-house league. You know, there's no more learning on the fly.
Right.
You know, have your stuff together, or you'll be going home very early. You know, so that
That's the difference. That's the difference. Tournaments, you have to be ready. In-house play is the time to get ready.
For sure.
So yeah, when it comes to tournaments versus in-house, it's night and day. It's just night and day. The game speed is night and day. Like Coach Red said, you know, those kids they are ready and they're coming strong. I know when I first started getting exposed to the tournament play with the elite traveling team, it was an eye opener. It was an eye opener just, you know, from stand on the sidelines of in-house to that skill set compared to the skill set that's on the elite traveling teams. It's just it's remarkable. The game speed is just there's no other way to explain it. It's just, you know, night and day, far from each other. I enjoy the tournament play. I really do. I just recently got, you know, more into that, and I love it. I love seeing the competition, the level of competition that these kids play. It's great. And you know, like I said earlier, I help assist Coach Diesel with the 8U team. And I tell you what, that group, if they stick together, that group got some talent, and 9. And I wish we could mix them teams together. but I tell you, the talent that you see out there in these tournaments, it's very enjoyable to watch these kids and see the skill set that they have. It's one thing to win a championship in an in-house play, but it's a whole nother thing when you go to an NFL flag regional tournament, and you come out there a victor, and you see the competition that you just played against, and you were victorious. Cloud nine.
Yeah, I can relate to you on the difference between winning an in-house championship and winning a tournament championship. No, tournament play, I have a little bit of experience in tournament play. My son played in tournament experience. I coached a little bit in tournament experience. As my son is playing sports now, I'm doing a lot of other different things, and so I didn't want to make the commitment, because that is a commitment. You know, as a travel coach, that's a commitment because you're playing your in-house and you're playing travel. And I think, like Dave said, it's a big time change. You're challenged at every position. You know, I have to say, when I saw a tournament play for the first time, that's when I really recognized how valuable the center position is. Because a lot of people think that, the center's just the person that hikes it, but you can, if you got somebody that's an athlete and can catch at that position, they can really be a weapon. And you see coaches utilize that all the time. At the next level, it takes your coaching, it takes everything to the next level, and that's where it is about winning. You don't want to spend all the money, travel, and go there and catch these L's and go home. For sure. You want to walk around with the ring and the trophy. So I definitely enjoy that aspect. My passion at where I'm at right now is to get the kids ready for that. Is to help them get from the in-house program, and I'm constantly saying, look, if you want to play at the next level, and the next level for you is the next age group or the travel situation, then you got to step your game up. And there's kids that come from other communities to come here to play on the travel circuit because they know that we go get it. And there's some kids that think that they're ready that just aren't. And so you got to play in the in-house for a minute to prove yourself. For sure. So that's a good point. There's definitely a difference, and we're right in the middle of it and have taken it seriously, and that's why I'm glad to be part of this program, because they going to the top and you want to dominate everything. For sure. That's a good thing. For sure.
Great stories overall. So as Rashad said, let's talk about, if you want to pump up your social media, things that you're doing so people can contact you and whatever. This is just your platform to do it. So Chris, we'll start with you. Anything?
Well, I definitely appreciate this platform. Something that I think is important to talk about is really just your passion for coaching, you know, and what really drives your coaching. And so what I do outside of coaching is I pretty much live a passive lifestyle where I have, you know, there's certain circles of knowledge when it comes to, you know, wealth vehicles, you know, whether you have your life insurance or you have your stocks or whatever you have. And I'm more on the networking side, on the crypto side. And so I teach people how to have their money passively be earning for them. And that's really how I live my life. And the reason why I relate that to coaching is because at the end of the day or during the day, as I'm, you know, touching base on the computer, my social media, at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to my evenings. I'm looking forward to, okay, I'm going to coach wrestling today. I'm going to coach basketball tomorrow. I'm going to coach football. And so that's kind of my purpose. And so I've kind of structured my life outside of coaching to be able to coach and coach with a rejuvenated spirit, not tired, excited. And so if that's in your wheelhouse, if that's something that you're interested in at all, work with coachchris.com. You just go there. It's going to have a video of me. It'll ask you some questions just about kind of your goals and if crypto is for you, and then it'll invite you into my Facebook group. So that's, those coaches out there, I know what you do. I know that you're going to work, you're coming home, got to prepare food, you got to do your household things, and then you got to run home, you got to run to practice, and it's kind of a boom, 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 boom. You can get some of your time back if you have your money moving for you. So that's my plug. Work with coachchris.com, and I look forward to connecting with you guys.
So I really don't have any type of social media outlet like Coach Chris. But if you have a son, a daughter, a niece, a nephew, any friends, neighbors that are interested in flag football, the Pittsburgh NFL Flag League is by far the best league in the world. I'm proud to be a part of it, and I couldn't thank Rashad and Coop more for giving me that opportunity. I do have a Facebook account. It's simply my name. Direct message me, instant message me. Richie Lenhart's my name. That's my profile. We're always looking to recruit more kids and get the kids involved in something that's fruitful.
Sure.
So Pittsburgh NFL Flag League.
Well, I guess I'm the last one. Huh? Sure. I've kind of taken a back seat to coaching. This has been my semi-retirement type thing, but I anytime these guys ask me to come up and do anything, I'm more than willing to be there. My email is rmanus@comcast.net. If you are thinking about being a coach and you just want someone else who's done it to speak to, reach out to me. I can put you in touch with these guys. I can help out, just give you a hand trying to maybe even develop some type of concept. I've done it already for one of your teams, for Kenny Holtzman's team, where I've gone out and I've helped him coach. I don't want to get into it 100%, but I'll be more than willing to work with anybody who has the idea that they may want to be a coach, but they think they can't do it. You can do it. You can do it. Reach out to me, and I'll be glad to visit you and talk to your team and give you some type of insight on what it takes to be a decent coach. So that's pretty much it.
Reggie the advisor. I like that. So, Coop, I'm going to let you close it, but I guess the last thing I want to say is that I just want to make sure people understand, like, how important coaches are. Like, coaches, like, that are so important. I feel like, when you get to the NFL, like that Hall of Fame speech, you hear like a lot of those players saying, my pee-wee coach. Like it's like coaches and teachers of that role that I don't feel like get enough recognition. And I feel like we need more good, authentic coaches that really care and that really pour into our kids. So that's why I really appreciate you guys coming on, sharing your stories with the world, and just hats off. And I couldn't, be more proud of you guys. So.
And let me piggyback off of that, Rashad, by saying we all are part of the puzzle. Everybody has a piece, and coaches make up probably the most valuable piece. And without coaches, you don't have that puzzle that can be completed. So thanks again for coming out. Check us out next episode. We're probably going to get back into more of the tournament talk. And we hope to get Mike Rainbow on and talk about flag football life and his tournament series. So once again, thanks again for joining us at NFL Flag Talk. That's it for us.
All right, we wrapping up, man. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
We good to go, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can you take a picture of us real quick, please?
My shorty bad like Shakira. I told her look in the mirror. Don't need a license to care.